We've got no choice. Call the Ghostbusters.
Vigo, the scourge of Carpathia, the sorrow of Moldavia, command you.
Oh, command me, Lord!
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
Welcome once again to another fine episode of the Hudson Valley Slime Time. I'm your host, Jason. I am also the marketing director of the Hudson Valley Ghostbusters. I am joined, as usual, by my co-host, Matt. Hello, Matt.
Hello. My name is Matt. I am the executive director and co-founder of Hudson Valley Ghostbusters. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that raises money for charity in the Hudson Valley area. If you'd like to find out a little bit more about who we are and what we do, you can go to our website, hvgb.org. You can look at who we are, what we do, photos of events we've been to, our team members, our vehicles, our equipment, and so on. Additionally, if you'd like a little more info, you can go to some of our previous episodes, specifically episodes 1, 2, and 3, where we go a little more in-depth into what it is we do.
All right, sounds great. So tonight's episode may be a little on the controversial side. Tonight we're going to be discussing the 2016 movie Ghostbusters Answer the Call. At least throughout the Ghostbuster community, this movie brings out a lot of emotions in people. Usually it's not very good. So we decided to have a split cast tonight to talk to you about both sides. And we're happy to have our other two officers with us to talk about their likes and dislikes. So let's welcome Tara and Pete back to the show. Welcome, guys.
Hi,
Hello.
thanks for having
Welcome.
me.
Hello.
So
Good to be back, you guys.
This should be rather interesting, and we'll see how it goes. We'll try to keep the yelling and screaming at each other to a minimum.
What about cursing?
Keep it civilized.
What about cursing?
I think Corey can bleep that out.
Yeah, we'll just have Corey have a bleep button. Maybe we'll have, good thing it's recorded and not live, so we don't have to run on a 10-second delay like the radio does. All right. Well, first, it's September, like we mentioned before. September, we did not have much going on. It was kind of a slow month, so we've just been kind of preparing for October.
Our Super Bowl season.
So we're still getting requests in as we speak, pretty much, just for us to appear, even though we're kind of booked up already.
So, yes, coming up in October, we have a very busy schedule. We have multiple events per weekend, most of the case. Starting with October 5th, we will be at Yonkers Comic-Con with the New York City Ghostbusters. We're doing a co-event with them. Pete, that was at the Yonkers Library, I believe?
At one of the Yonkers libraries. They have 3 branches. This is at the Riverfront branch.
Excellent. The very next day, October 6th, we'll be back deeply in our home territory. We'll be at the Hudson Valley Plane Pull from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We'll be doing that at Stewart Airport. October 12th, nighttime event, something we don't get to do too often, but we all love. We will be in Washingtonville, New York for Witchingtonville After Dark from 6 to 10. You'll be able to see us. Just look for the big inflatable Stay Puft. October 19th, we'll be heading back up north. We'll be in Latham for the Local 7 Capital District Building Trades Health Fair at Afram Sports Dome. The next day, October 20th, we will be at Woodbury Commons doing the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk. We'll be there from 7:30 to 1 as a vendor. Following weekend on October 26th, we'll be at the Castle in Chester, New York from 1 to 4. Again, I think raising for the Danny Mulvey Fund. On October 27th, the next morning, we will be again manning the water station for the Fearless We Can Be Heroes 5K from about 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun month. October is always the best.
Not the least of which, because my birthday's in October. Yeah, actually, it's the 20th. It's the day you guys have the breast cancer walk.
Not us guys, we guys. All of us.
True, yes. It's the day we have the breast cancer walk.
It's a Sunday morning. You should come on out and celebrate your birthday with us. Okay, now going into a part of our podcast that we are making a regular segment. We're going to go over to our Quizmaster Corey for There Is No Dana, Only Trivia.
All right, guys, thanks for joining for There Is No Dana, Only Trivia segment of the podcast. My name is Corey, and I'll be your quiz master for today. So how trivia is going to work is very simple. I've written 5 questions worth a maximum of 20 points each. You can get 10 points for partial or incomplete answers. Make sure to write your answers as big as you can. Make sure to keep all your answers hidden, though, and at the end of the podcast, we'll go over the answers to see who's won. Any questions?
We already know
Pete.
Pete's won.
What if I only have 4 pieces of paper?
And will you give a prize for lowest score, perhaps?
For you, Tara? Absolutely.
That might actually be the real battle here tonight.
All right, first question. What was the name and life of the very first spirit the Ghostbusters encounter while investigating the mansion from the opening of the film? That is a first and last name, so.
See, I know it, and it's just like my mind's blank.
See everybody's gears turning there.
It took me a minute, but I think I got there.
All right, what is the very long title of Aaron and Abby's book they wrote together before becoming Ghostbusters?
I feel like I haven't even watched the movie with these questions. You're asking them, and it goes right out of my brain.
I think I probably botched that, but
You can hear Sharpies furiously going. This is great.
that's mine.
I'm
It's
doing a
just-
very ornate question mark.
Question mark?
What?
Question number 3. What was the title of the business before they officially adopt the name Ghostbusters?
I don't like this game.
Right, I think I've already failed to follow Corey's directions because I'm writing them on the same sheet of paper. But I'm writing big and spaced out, so.
That should work fine.
I think that counts against you. So you actually
I'm
be in the
wasting
I mean, I'm
negative.
paper
going to
like
go
Corey
into
asked.
negative numbers at this point then.
All right, next question. How does Aaron Gilbert defeat the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man while it was crushing the other 3 Ghostbusters under its belly?
Hey, one I can get.
That part actually made me audibly laugh out loud when I was watching it yesterday.
Part makes me think of my husband.
What?
Makes me think of
Well,
me.
I hope I got the question right then, because you'll know why if I got it wrong.
All right, and the 5th and last question. What is the final form Rowan takes after he releases his possession of Kevin in the movie's finale?
All right. Pen down.
Hold on. Okay.
All right. Be sure to stick around at the end of the podcast for the answers to Corey's trivia questions and see which one of us came out the winner. Thank you, Corey.
Yeah, thanks. I don't know if I can wait that long to find out who wins, so it's going to be interesting.
Thanks for shaking my confidence, Corey.
I thought I saw this movie.
Right?
I had no problems.
We know.
We kind of knew that, like when you said you were going to pop on this episode. We're like, yep. Actually, I think I mentioned it the last podcast. I was like, when John won, I was like, well, yep, you and then Pete will be the next 2 winners. So, but all right. So why don't we get right down to it? 2016, Answer the Call. We know 2 of us liked it, 2 of us did not.
Mm-hmm. Let's maybe we should identify who we are so we get our.
Should we
camps firmly
identify it, or should we
established.
just let people try
Let
to
our
guess
audience
depending on
guess.
how we talk?
I mean, I could do my 15-second review and you'd figure it out pretty quick.
I think by your tone, people probably already know where you stand. All right. Well, yeah. Let's keep it a mystery, and we'll let our audience figure out who they think or what side we are each on.
Is it 1?
Like I said, it'll probably be pretty obvious here pretty quick.
2?
The one thing I do want to say, and I don't care if you like it or do not like it, but the opening scene inside the Aldrich mansion, if you ask me, that is like the ultimate nightmare scene that I'm pretty sure everybody has had, where you're scared to death and you're trying to like flee upstairs and you can't because everything's just like you're falling through, and like, I don't know. I just thought that was the
I will agree with you. It is a nightmare, but probably not for the reasons you were stating.
Okay.
Those stairs were not up to code.
It was an old building, grandfathered in.
Well, all right. So what's your take then?
I think it's too much. It's a little too indulgent. It takes a little too long to get past that. It's going to be a lot of comparisons to the original, but the original is like tight. It's like a minute and a half. They do the intro, you establish what's going on, there's something supernatural, boom, you got the song, and the movie starts. This one just takes too long to get going, and you'll probably hear me say that a lot.
I didn't get that at all from it, though, honestly. I mean, are you talking about like the whole scene, while he's giving the tour up to the scare, or are you talking about just the point from like where he's trying to close up shop and whatever, and then...
I think his answer is going to be yes.
Yes.
All of that didn't need to take quite as long.
I don't know. I thought it was like, it was a good way to kind of like set the scene more or less.
I would agree with you if it was something where we're setting a scene for tension, but he's telling awkward jokes the whole time, so I didn't feel suspense for like the ghost is coming. I mean, the original, like, it's quiet, not a word is spoken, there's just spooky stuff going on, it builds the tension, then it goes into the movie. This one, it just kind of rambles and kind of, not even poking fun, it's just telling jokes, and it's killing any tension it could have for anything scary. So, nightmare scenario
his
for me.
Jokes
But
kind of reminded me of like the riverboat captain in the Disney ride. That's where I was at.
yeah, good point. Very cheesy, very not funny.
Right. The
I mean,
more of a grown joke.
I mean, but that's kind of what that was supposed to be. That was supposed to be like this cheesy haunted house typical tour. And that's why the candle had, he's got the mechanism in the candle to cause it to flip onto the floor, because it's supposed to be that cheesy type, and then it's supposed to take that weird, scary twist after at the end when he's closing up, and then all of a sudden, the door starts rattling, and all of a sudden the tension just starts escalating, So.
And not to jump too far ahead in our programming catalog, but are you going to say the same thing for Afterlife with Phoebe's jokes? Phoebe's jokes were 100% groaners, and I loved them just as much.
But they were
We'll get
appropriate for her and her character and kind of the overall feel. They were more Egon jokes. Like,
Egon doesn't
it
joke.
felt right.
Egon jokes, he just doesn't know it.
Right.
But I mean, have you guys gone on any of those? I'm sure you've gone on some of those like cheesy haunted tours, whether it be in a house or whatever, and
Oh, yeah.
and they load it up with those cheesy, silly jokes and stories and whatnot.
Yeah, I guess. And I also felt that the basement itself, like, I liked some of the physical effects in the original Ghostbusters, and they went over the top with the special effects in that basement scene. I said to Matthew, I feel like I'm watching the beginning of a horror movie, not necessarily a more comedy movie. Yes, I guess it is supposed to be scary, but it felt like it was leaning into horror. I don't know.
So was Ghostbusters, the original movie with the library ghost. But the slime in the basement,
horror-ish.
the slime in the basement of Answer the Call was actually a practical effect.
The slime on the face.
No, the slime in the basement.
Oh, the slime in the
In
basement.
Answer the Call.
Okay.
Then they must have had the saturation turned up to 50.
Yeah.
You need sunglasses to look at that slime.
There's a featurette on the DVD that they talk about it, and they put a really green dye into it.
You know, and
Okay.
I guess that's going to lead into a lot of the other things, because a lot of the other special effects and the ghosts and everything like that had that really bright coloring, and which, in my opinion, I like that kinds of stuff, because I mean, it did kind of bring me back to the cartoon ghosts and stuff, but I enjoyed that. I thought it looked cool.
I wanted something more subtle. I think I wanted more ethereal. And honestly, I think I could say that about the entire movie. It's going to be my theme. I wanted something a little more subtle, a little more thoughtful, maybe.
I agree with Tara on this one. The special effects look a little more like Haunted Mansion than Ghostbusters. And I love the Haunted Mansion, not the movie. The movie's terrible. I love the Haunted Mansion, the ride. But I don't want its special effects in Ghostbusters.
In all seriousness, Tara, are Ghostbusters ever subtle?
No, but
100-foot Stay Puft Marshmallow Man walking through New York City.
No,
that was
I
subtle.
Statue of Liberty. Statue of Liberty walking through New York City.
But a lot of the scares and the comedy in the movie was subtle in the original.
Right.
It was very low key.
Fair.
It was there, but it was low key. It wasn't like over the top.
I would agree.
Fair.
I would agree. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's fair to say that the audience has probably deduced that I come down on the positive side for Answer the Call.
I think pretty much the audience probably knows where we all four of us stand right now, because it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I mean, Matt and I need to have a happy marriage, so I'm glad we fell on the same side. Otherwise, there could be a lawyer in our future.
So where did it all fall apart? 2016, Answer the Call. But I mean, I know a lot of people with this movie got upset with like the whole, with them like switching cast and going through like a whole new, basically like a rewrite, of the whole thing.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with that.
One thing that I've always kind of looked at with like, I didn't look at it as kind of like a rewrite. I kind of looked at it like how like Marvel's doing with a lot of their films, where it was like an alternate universe. That's why that's why we still had the same characters. We still had, Aykroyd and Bill Murray and everybody in it, but they had different, they were different people. So that was my.
That's how it's treated in the comics.
In truth, though, I wouldn't have minded that, and I was super excited when it was coming out to see this all-female cast. And even in an alternate dimension, I still think it was a terrible movie.
The lead up to it wasn't great either. It was a terrible trailer. Like, it just wasn't a good trailer. It didn't highlight the best parts of the movie, I think.
Yeah, I remember they're hearing a lot about that. They did really poor advertising, for the leading up to the movie and stuff like that. But I also found out that the first cut of the movie was over 4 hours long.
Oh, geez.
Wow.
So they
talk about indulgent.
It's all the improvisation they did.
Who knows what was left on the cutting room floor, if that would have made it better or worse.
I feel like it would make it worse. We watched the extended version, and as we're watching this, I was like, "Oh, that could have been cut out." And Matthew was like, "It was," and I was like, "Oh, well, good choice." I'm glad that they did that, because I don't remember the first movie. It's been a while.
Deleted scenes exist for a reason.
Yeah, they should have stayed deleted.
Well, I mean, I didn't know there was a shortened episode or version until like earlier this week, when I got a digital copy off Amazon, and I'm watching it. And I'm like, man, I was like, there was a scene, where Holtzman explains to the others, like, don't get your beam entangled in mine, or whatever. And, they kind of put that whole, don't cross the streams, type thing, and they cut it. And I'm like, I think that kind of would have worked better if they left that in,
And that piece was, I think, yeah, okay, that was kind of important. The scene in particular I'm thinking of is the bathroom scene with her vomiting slime all over. I didn't mean that. Awful. I don't think it moved our story forward.
Yeah, that one I can't argue with you on that one. That one I can see that being cut.
Yeah. That one was a little more into the gross out humor side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know what else kind of got me about this? Speaking of the humor, the cringe humor. It's not my style, and there was a lot of cringe around Kristen Wiig's character, and I struggled with that.
It struck me earlier today, actually. I was thinking about the humor style of this movie. To me, it felt outdated, and I think I figured out why. It's like early 2000s, like, cringe humor, like movies like American Pie and Road Trip, and like movies like that, like those frat boy type comedies. That's what the humor feels like to me. And that was getting agree. Outdated in like 2005, and this movie came out in 2016.
I mean, I think most of Holtzman's lines and stuff like that, and her delivery on most of the stuff was, great. I love the whole, hearse scene when Patty first pulls up with the hearse. I think that whole scene, I love that scene, where they're like, is there a body in there? And Patty's like, I don't know. Let Holtzman check. She loves that kind of things. And she's just like,
they could have cut that scene by like 15 seconds. They could have said, is there a body in there? And she could have looked in the car like confused and then cut. That would have been funny. Instead, it went on for another 20 minutes.
Holtzman talking about,
I could think of 6 uses for cadaver today.
Yeah. And then her reply back to Patty, like, we got to bring it back. And she's like, all right. I just thought I loved that. I thought it was hysterical. And it doesn't get old, in my opinion.
I don't know. I'm with Matt. We looked at each other and kind of picked apart that scene, and we're like, oh, it could have ended here, or they could have left it for a minute to sink in on some of the humor. Like, I feel like they moved super fast.
Yeah, that is a big problem with this movie.
Yeah, and it's so funny, Jason, that you really like Holtzman. She is my least favorite character, and I feel like in real life, if she were sitting next to me, I'd strangle her.
Yeah, that is not the kind of person you want around you all the time, every day.
I don't know. She was my favorite character.
Actually, Patty is my favorite character because she's the most grounded. She actually feels like a real person. Mm-hmm. She's essentially the Winston character of this movie, and she's like just the everyman who's just got into this by accident, and she's just trying to keep up like a normal person would.
And her jokes, I think, to me, were the funniest. She landed some phenomenal jokes.
Oh yeah, the whole one of my favorites of hers was when they're in the down inside the subway. And she's like, yeah, that's where I saw the weird Sparky thing. And Holtzman's like, what is it? It's like, baby, if I knew what it was, I wouldn't be calling it a weird Sparky thing.
It's going to be the third scariest thing on that train.
Oh, that was the best thing.
That was the best.
Yeah. They're at the rock concert, and she goes in the room looks in the room full of mannequins. She's like, yep, nothing in there but a room full of nightmares. Not going in there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And
I can totally... That joke worked for me because it was just her by herself, and there was nothing else going on around her. Mm-hmm. She had a great joke when they were doing the alleyway test scene, where Melissa McCarthy's flying all over the place, and Patty goes, I guess she's not bending her knees enough, huh? But you can't really hear it because there's so much going on around it.
And then they steamroll it onto the next attempt at a joke. Like, they don't give it time to land. The room full of nightmares... the joke landed, and then there was a couple of seconds before it moved on, so you could kind of compute and giggle about it.
I kind of felt that way about the hearse scene. Yeah.
All I'm gonna say is, if you guys don't think Holtzman is like an actual person, You don't know half the engineers that I do.
Oh no, I'm sure she's an actual person. She just wouldn't be someone I would choose to spend my time with.
Yeah.
That's a small dose friend. Like,
See, I thought
let
that
me
of
fill up
Kristen
my
Wiig's.
coffee at the coffee maker. Have a great day. Bye bye.
I kind of thought that of like Kristen Wiig's character because she was just so like, I don't know. She was like trying too hard to, like, I don't know.
I actually
Yeah,
have
I
to
mean-
agree with Jason on this. Sorry, Tara.
No, go ahead, Pete.
I have to agree with Jason on this one. Don't get me wrong. I'm fully on the positive side for this movie. And I typically enjoy Kristen Wiig in what she does. Erin is probably my least favorite of the four.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and her character, it brings me to my concern. I was excited to have this female cast, but like the way that she behaves around Kevin, which, of course, Chris Hemsworth, gorgeous man. But the fact that they played on that so much, it just got really female tropey, and it was honestly kind of annoying. And again, she was super cringy the way she interacted with him.
I mean, we can also say that about Venkman.
Yeah.
I mean, he was.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Venkman wasn't my favorite character in the originals. So,
Fair.
And I think that, like, this movie is full of great actors, actresses, but all of them have given better performances than something else. Like, no one's just firing at the top of their game in this movie. I don't know if it was the direction, like, Paul Feig didn't know what to do with them, or he just let them go without, like, reining them in. Actually, I think he did say that he just let them go. And it's just...
And that's why it felt a little
4
like
hours.
a Saturday Night Live skit to me, I think. It just, this big extended Saturday Night Live skit.
I was going to say, if anyone was at the top of their game in Answer the Call, it was clearly Chris Hemsworth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I loved his
he stayed in
character.
character the whole movie. Like, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, and that was it.
I fully maintain that if it was not for Answer the Call, we would not have gotten Thor Ragnarok as a funny movie.
And funny you
it
mention
did.
that because I've always liked the whole theory of Kevin actually being Thor. Like he actually is Thor in this movie, but he's undercover, because he's trying to learn Earth's ways and everything like that. And he's, trying to, just lay low and see what's going on and trying to find out where the evil's coming from or whatever. And, that explains why he doesn't understand so many of like our normal things like telephones and, aquariums and,
Eyeglasses.
And eyeglasses, I mean,
Yeah, that's another example too, where they had a great joke and they just kept running. They ran it into the ground. Like when he took the lenses out of his glasses because they kept getting dirty. That's funny, but then they keep going on and on about like how stupid he is. I'm like, all right, we got it with the one joke. You can stop now.
well, I mean, a nice interesting fact is that did you know that aquariums are actually submarines for fish?
I heard that somewhere.
That's funny.
I like the one from towards the end of the movie was like, which one makes me look more like a doctor? Me playing saxophone, or me listening to saxophone?
Yeah, that's a good one too.
See,
Yeah.
and that's and that's all stuff that Thor would do because he doesn't understand that kinds of stuff.
Well, and at the end, I did not mind watching him dance, but a dance routine in Ghostbusters, like, why? I didn't need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of get the Chris Hemsworth dance sequence, although I'm glad that they cut it out in the theatrical edition. But in the extended edition, I could have done without the dance sequence from their childhood presentation.
That I
Yeah.
did think was a little
Also
much.
cringe. Yeah, didn't need it.
Yeah,
I
most
mean,
of the
it
stuff
was
they
supposed-
added into the extended edition was just dance moves.
Yeah, and more soup jokes, I think.
And honestly, I didn't mind the recurring soup joke. I think maybe they could have found a better joke to be the recurrent theme, but I appreciate that in a movie. And also in a good wonton soup, you need to write the good soup to wonton ratio.
And I really loved at the end where she was trying to convince Rowan that there was good things in life or whatever, and the only thing she could think of was soup. Because I can't tell you how many times in like real life where I have been in those situations where it's like, normally you can list like 20 examples of something, but then when somebody asks you and in the heat of the moment, you can literally only think of one thing, and you're like.
Yeah, like when you're trying to start a podcast and remember what you have to say.
Yes, exactly.
And I won't want to talk about it yet, but when we get to Rowan, I have some things to say about him. And his plan.
So, bring it on. Let's go.
Yeah, let's talk about Rowan.
Okay. So, he had potential to be an interesting villain. Just a regular guy who had been, like, beaten down by society and wanted to get revenge. I'm on board for that. That's almost kind of like the Joker movie, that we're going to, like, a villain origin. But then he's trying to release ghosts from these spirit Halloween mirrors, I guess, because the effect looked terrible in that. And then I don't get what the part of his plan was, why he had to, like, electrocute and unalive himself to become a ghost, and then inhabit a body, and then go back to his lair to do the thing he could have done when he was still alive. That seems entirely unnecessary to me. Like, okay, yeah, he became a ghost and he had, like, powers, but he didn't need to. He could just unleashed his plan right then and there instead of offing himself. All it did was
I think the Ghostbusters kind of interrupted him because he, the whole unit wasn't 100% complete when they came in, and he still needed more time to finish it.
But when he goes back later as Chris Hemsworth, all he does is move a thing and it's ready. He picks up a thing, says, "Oh, I'm strong," puts it down, and it's done.
And there might have been more. They might have put that on the cutting room floor. You never know.
Well, why didn't they cut out the dancing and put in part of the plot?
That it's actually a good segue into something that I want to discuss is the fact that Answer the Call has a good sense of actual time progression and research and development.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the original Ghostbusters, they go instantly from getting thrown out to searching for a new headquarters to having working equipment. But in Answer the Call,
packs to car to containment unit, everything.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that because the time progression in this feels like it's real time. When you're watching the movie.
Feels like 2 hours I'll never get back is what it feels like.
Watching the movie like, oh god, it's 4 days later, they built the packs.
If I can step back for a second, talking about Rowan, like, I know it was 2016, but they were awfully flippant about watching this guy commit suicide in front of them. That troubled me. They're like practically stepping over his dead body as though nothing had happened.
Yeah, like, and they were cracking jokes.
I wanted a little bit more of something. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
No.
Well, I mean, they also cracked jokes when they threw Bill Murray out a window, so...
No feelings.
And I do want to come back to that. The Ghostbusters have been at the scene of 2 murders, and somehow they didn't go to prison. They didn't get arrested. Like, okay, yeah, they're kind of like under the table, the city's supporting them looking for ghosts, but they were at 2 crime scenes.
Well, they did say they were watching them closely, so they probably actually did see everything that happened. So, But actually, going back to
the point where Bill Murray got thrown out the window, they were watching them, but they still didn't they weren't on board like their ghosts are real thing.
Well, when you watched whatever that dragon-y thing was throw a man out the window, I guess you kind of start believing.
Did they watch him do that?
And actually, that scene where Bill Murray gets thrown out the window actually has one of my favorite lines in the movie too, where Kevin in the background's like, he just went out the wrong door. Just casually.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was hysterical.
I went out the wrong door.
Yeah, that was a good one. And again, they kind of let it land, and they I
Literally.
think that was the end of a scene,
sidewalk.
right? They cut scene and moved on.
Yep. Well, no,
That
I think Aaron goes, "Oh, he wasn't Ghostbusters material," which was a groaner for me. Like, ugh.
Yeah, they should have left it with Chris Hemsworth line, Kevin's line, for sure.
That poor window, though. That's the same window that Abby broke when she was possessed.
Mm-hmm.
Which got replaced awfully quick.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot of window to replace that fast.
Going back to your time progression, sir.
I will say one of the things that I liked is some of the tech that they used. I liked the ghost chipper. That was cool.
Yes. The ghost chipper, Hudson's proton pistols.
Yep. The proton grenades that are going to put out a little bit of poof.
Yep.
Even the proton glove.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that the tech was pretty cool. I really did.
I thought it was cool too. Like, it's surface level cool, but then when they start using it at the end, it kind of falls apart for me.
See.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that last the last fight scene, because that annoyed Matt and I while we were watching it.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Pete. You start.
This is going to create a schism in HVGB leadership, I think.
I think we've known our opinions on this movie for a while, Pete.
Holtzman and the proton pistol sequence.
Yuck.
Forgot about my new toys.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So, aside from the fact that the Ghostbusters only busted one ghost in the movie and then they released it anyway, they never caught anything else in the movie. Like, the proton pistols, all the stuff they're using kind of like vaporizes, or like the ghost shredder shreds them up. They don't actually bust any ghosts. They just kind of destroy them.
Capacitate them.
And then, like... And as someone who was a fan of the IDW comics, when the Ghost Smashers did that, and all the ghost energy went up there and created havoc, that's all I could think when I was watching that scene. That, and why are they trying to rip off Marvel?
Did you read Ghostbusters 101?
Yes, I did.
When they crossed over, and they explained that when they reversed the portal, a lot of that PK got sucked back in.
Okay.
But that was an after-the-fact fix.
Yeah, that's not in the movie.
Take
like,
it.
if they'd said, like, we're going to destroy them, and then hopefully we'll suck the ghost back into the portal, I'm like, all right, that makes sense.
But they hadn't planned to do that. It was a spur of the moment where they were like, let's reverse the portal.
Yeah.
So what was the plan up until that point when they had the little shredded ghosty bits all over the place?
See, my take on that was that, their proton streams were a little bit different than what we're used to with the original Ghostbusters, and that their proton streams actually not just catch and retain a ghost, but actually can neutralize them also.
But why didn't, with all the tech babble they were saying about their packs, why didn't they just say that then?
I mean, it was kind of pretty self-evident in my mind. I mean, it was pretty obvious.
I think Jason just called us dumb.
Okay, yeah, they got him with the tank, and then the ghost just falls and disappears. Yeah,
Because up to this point, all we had seen was Ghostbusters tech that we knew from the first two movies and the cartoons and everything, where they capture ghosts and trap it. If they're doing something different, that's fine, but you have to, they talk so much about the tech. They couldn't throw a line there that says, oh, this will dissipate them.
They didn't do that in Ghostbusters 2 either with Vigo.
They didn't have to. We already knew how the equipment worked at that point. We were in an established world.
Did they capture Vigo?
No, we talked about that in the last episode too. It's really weird. We had complaints about that too. But I'm saying, with that movie, the chess pieces were already on the board. We knew how the tech worked from the previous movie. This is starting a whole new thing. They need to at least set up and explain how some of it works. I don't care if their pack has a Faraday cage. Tell me it'll dissipate ghosts. And also, they can't call themselves Ghostbusters if they're just dissipating ghosts. They're ghost dissipators.
They're busting them. They're just, eliminating them. They're, it's...
Paranormal eliminators?
Causing them to be busted.
They're certainly not conductors of the metaphysical examination.
Definitely not.
No, they didn't examine anything. They let it go
No.
just to prove a point.
Well, we would have seen that if there was a sequel.
Yeah,
I am not sad that there was not a sequel.
See, I'm always
you
been
can't
on
wait
the
for
whole
sequels for
side
explanations.
where I've always been on the side where I just kind of like I sit back and I watch the movie and I don't like criticize every little detail and things like that. You know, it's just like I kind of just enjoy it for it, and I can sit back and watch it. 2 hours of that movie and actually enjoy it. I mean, I don't know. It
can
makes
do the
me
same
laugh
thing too
here.
when it's a good movie.
I thought that I could truly before I came on this podcast. I was like, well, I don't know. I think if I consider it as its own movie, maybe I do like it. Like if it's its own standalone thing, I pretend I've not watched any previous Ghostbusters, and then we started watching it, and I was like, God, now I remember why I hated this movie the first time. It's so bad.
I think Tara and I both enjoyed this movie more before we watched it again.
Yeah, we Mystery Science Theater 2000 it this time.
Mm-hmm.
It was bad, and again, I'm gonna go back to. I was excited for it to be an all-woman cast, but it went to that tropey female friendship and our friendship will conquer everything. I wanted to watch an enjoyable movie, and I didn't need that overlay of female friendship tropiness.
Okay.
Fair.
I mean,
And I'm a feminist.
I think it's safe to say, like, we all are on this team.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that that's pretty accurate. So you didn't find some of the comments and some of that a little uncomfortable?
A little. I felt some of it was a little awkward. Clearly.
Yeah.
I bring it back to what we were talking about with Kristen Wiig's character, kind of simping for Kevin.
Yeah, that part,
kind of creepy.
all of those parts. Even on my first viewing, that one really made those parts made me cringe.
Well, even Kevin didn't like it because like when they were all dancing after they caught the ghost and Kevin was dancing with Patty, and then Aaron tries to get in and like he just like looks at her and like tries to get away from her. So like he clearly wasn't interested at all. He seemed to be more interested in having fun with Patty actually.
Because Patty's the
Patty
one
was
that's
fun.
fun.
She was the best character for sure.
Okay.
I liked her
How about
fashion
me?
too, honestly. Her big belts, her big earrings. I thought she was fabulous.
Yeah. How about for the score? The musical score.
It's not
the
bad.
Battle of Time.
I love the orchestra that they added to the Ghostbusters theme song. Like that whole that music, I really got into that.
Yeah, the Battle of Times Square score.
Yeah. My only issue with like the soundtrack in the movie is that the song, the Ghostbusters song, that's like the official one of the 5 or 6 versions that are in the soundtrack, that's the worst one. Like the official one. I mean, I'm not a Fall Out Boy fan either. But I don't like that song. The rest of the score is pretty good.
Yeah, I like the score. I like the soundtrack. I know when we're at events and we're playing it, I kind of dance along to it. So for me, the most redeeming part of this movie was the soundtrack.
It's a pretty good soundtrack.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
In fact, Teddy, who all you viewers saw before, my son, loves that soundtrack. He always has me cycle through all the different versions of the Ghostbuster song on it.
Yeah, I think I have them all except for the Fall Out Boy one on playlist for when we do events.
One of the other, I just looking over my notes real quick, and one of my other favorite Holtzman lines was when they're sitting in the mayor's office, and the what are they? Homeland Security guys, right? That's what they were. Yeah,
Or
we're
FBI.
there, and they're like, you're driving around town in a white ambulance with a big siren and light, playing an un-American siren. Do you know how many laws you've broken? And Holtzman's just like, is it 1? Just like, and then she's like, is it 2? Then back to 1. I don't know. I thought that was all funny too. I love that.
We have different ideas of what humor is.
I like that quirky sarcasm. I like that.
Another one in the mayor's office when they're like, an entire town turned inside out. And I think it was Aaron's like, oh my god, are they okay? Yes, an entire town of people turned inside out. They're fine.
and Holtzman's just like, I think they're all dead. I don't know. I enjoyed the movie, like I said, and then there was definitely parts that I did not like and parts that I thought were more cringe than others. But it did give me a lot of laughs, and I can sit down and enjoy watching it, really.
I think I could have enjoyed it more if they tightened it up a little bit. Like, it's just, the pacing in this movie is pretty bad. It's very choppy and all over the place. Like, things go on forever, things cut, like, immediately when they really maybe shouldn't. Like, if they just tighten it up just a little bit more, maybe, like, get rid of the additional scenes they put in there for sure. The ones that they deleted and put back in that did go. Yeah, and just maybe take out some of the run-on in some of the scenes where they just keep going, because you can tell when they start improvising, because the movie grinds to, like, a halt, and it just kills the pacing of the movie.
Well, that whole, with Kevin with no lenses in his glasses, apparently that was all completely ad-libbed by Hemsworth himself. That was all him.
I believe that.
Yeah. I think it was because they couldn't get a good shot because the light kept reflecting off his glasses.
Yeah, they do that a lot in movies, and I think it's funny that he went with it. And again, that was his character, Patty's character. They're kind of my favorites, and I think their humor lands better. And I also think that it stands up to the test of time better. Like, looking back, like Matthew said, this reminds me of an early 2000s cringe kind of comedy that is only funny in that time frame. It really doesn't age well.
In my opinion, there is only one movie from the early 2000s, a comedy movie that still holds up and is great, and that is Shaun of the Dead.
That is a excellent movie. Yes.
that one holds up.
I like Shaun of the Dead. Hot Fuzz still holds up pretty well, but I don't remember how early that was.
I don't know what movie that is.
It was another movie by the same.
Same team.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. There is one other thing I wanted to say about Answer the Call, and it is that Answer the Call, like the rest of the Ghostbusters films, Ernie Hudson has the absolute best lines. He may not have very many of them in Answer the Call, but at the end when he's trying to get the car back, and Patty's like, just pull one on the top of the other, and he goes, they're bodies. I'm not going to stack them like flapjacks.
And that was a great way to end the movie, because that leaves you with a bit of humor that is actually funny.
Yes.
Actually, I don't really like that line, but the line he has before that is great. The exchange. He's like, where's the car? And she's like, it's on the other side. He's like, in New Jersey?
Yeah. Yep.
That's a great line. That's funny.
Well, speaking of the car, what did you think of their redesign of the ECTO?
I was okay with that. I didn't dislike it, and honestly, I think as a Ghostbusters franchise, the fact that it's built on a hearse body makes it a lot easier for us to make.
Yeah, I think it could have had a couple of changes. Overall, it wasn't terrible. Like that big light in the front, I do not like. And I don't like that when they put the logo on the side of the car, the molding trim for the car is still on there going through it. I don't like that.
I did notice that, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I really have an opinion one way or another, whether it's good with or without it.
Yeah, I mean, as a team of people who have multiple Ectos made of multiple different vehicles, I'm okay with a new Ecto, but they're little details they should have paid a little more attention to.
And I like the motorcycle at the end too. He kind of ectofies that, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was going to say, I know our friends in the New York City Ghostbusters seem to like the 2016 Ecto, since that's what their Ecto is in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Again, easier than trying to find a Miller Meteor, for sure.
Yeah. Although I think that big yellow light's got to be kind of hard to locate, because you don't see those around too often.
I'm not even sure what that's off of.
I think it's
airplane
like
beacon.
a Kmart 100th shopper light or something.
Or it's a beacon light off of the top of the Empire State Building or something like that. You know,
Yeah, like on top of a bridge so planes don't run into it.
Out of the Statue of Liberty torch.
His name Benny, the delivery boy.
Yep.
No,
Benny. Yeah.
Benny. Yeah, his
Aaron
character.
Sony, Dopinder.
You know, he's dry delivery, and and he's got some funny stuff too.
Well, clearly for me, he was completely forgettable because I didn't even remember he existed until you mentioned him.
Yeah.
They blow up his motorcycle there in the alley, or the moped, and and you see him come walking around the corner, and he's just like, really, And I remember him a lot too because he's also in Deadpool. He's the cab driver in Deadpool, so it's like he's almost like playing a similar character, and he's having the same. He keeps getting like caught up on the short end, getting his vehicles destroyed and whatnot. And
Yeah. Back to the soup jokes. Because they moved
We have to.
upstairs.
Well,
For just a second. For just a second, yeah. Back to the soup jokes. Because they moved upstairs from the restaurant that Benny delivers for. And at some point, like, they order up, and, like, Abby's like, we are right upstairs. How did it take you an hour to deliver? And he just goes, oh, there are a lot of stairs, and I have bad knees.
they have bad knees.
It's just the little things like that.
Yeah, and she's like, she pulls out the soup, and he's just like, hey, because now it's like completely packed full of wontons. He's like, I know what you did.
And I mean, while we're on the subject of supporting characters, someone I completely forgot, like Oscar winner Andy Garcia is in this movie as the mayor, and God, they waste him. Charles Dance too. You got Andy Garcia and Charles Dance. Please do something with them.
Yeah, I agree. Because I remember watching it and being like, oh, that's right, Andy Garcia was in this. And I love Andy Garcia. I think he's an amazing actor. He's been in so many fantastic roles. This was not, even like actors who come in to do a little cameo and a little comedy kind of thing, it just didn't.
I mean, he had a great line in the restaurant there where it's like, don't ever compare me to the mayor in Jaws.
I think when that came on, I think I might have turned to Tara and say, that's an Academy Award winner.
Ed Begley Jr. too. I like Ed Begley Jr. He just seems like a really cool guy.
He just popped in for a couple minutes and then he's gone. I'm not saying like all these characters have to be introduced and hang around.
Well, I mean, we had a lot of cameos with some great actors who didn't really have much lines or anything in the original movies also,
Yeah.
And the Egon bust in the beginning was a nice touch.
Yep.
That was
I
the best
liked that.
cameo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Second best cameo. Ernie Hudson's still the best.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
I do still think
if we're talking about
Janine, like I thought her cameo was pretty good too.
If we're talking about cameos, I think like Dan Aykroyd got the short end of the stick. His cameo is pretty bad.
As a cab driver, yeah, that was a little disappointing.
Yeah. Sigourney Weaver's during the credits though. Safety lights are for dudes.
Yeah, yep, that was good too.
We'll agree to disagree. I don't dislike Bill Murray's cameo, but I mean, you can tell they brought him in kicking and screaming. He's like, "No, I'm going to carry a cane because that way I have an excuse to sit down." And then you're going to throw me out a window. I have a theory that like all the parts in the movie, he's like, "No, you're going to throw me out the window and kill me." I'm here. I'm on set.
No
now
chance
kill
of
me.
coming back if there's a sequel.
That is quite likely, actually.
That is very likely.
Hey, Bill, we're going to sue you if you don't come and do this movie. Like, all right, you're going to throw me out the window, and then I'm done.
I have a feeling that there was a similar conversation for Ghostbusters 2 also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think we're kind of winding down on this topic here. I think everybody's gotten out most, if not all, of their pleasures and or hates.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear now to everyone where we stand on the movie.
Who's who and how who feels.
And in 10 years or 8 years, when you guys say, hey, let's revisit this, I'm probably going to say no.
Don't be ridiculous. By that time, the memory of this will have faded, and you'll watch the movie with fresh eyes and hate it all new.
Very
Then it goes into one of those categories where you have like movies that are just so awful that they're actually entertaining. It's like,
This is just so awful. It is not awfully entertaining.
I love a good schlocky B movie, but this ain't it.
All in all, I will say I'm still coming down as overall favorable. There are parts that I don't like, but there are parts about every movie that I don't like.
yep.
But I'm still saying overall favorable, and just Chris Hemsworth absolutely nailed it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
Yeah,
I'm
so-
definitely, if it comes on TV or something like that while I'm watching, I will leave it on and watch it. Just because, like I said, I still enjoy it.
We got rid of cable, so we don't have to risk that happening.
There's no accidental stumbling across it.
I'm just gonna come over one day, get your Wi-Fi password, and just cast it to your TV.
Hijack their system and project it on all of their electronic. It's on
only
our
have one
phones.
electronics.
It's on our TV and our computer. It's everywhere. It's...
That would be the worst computer virus ever.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Can I write
Are we
that?
getting to be that time
All
where
right,
Corey
yeah.
lets me know I lost at trivia?
Yep. Yeah, let's bring Corey back in so we can see how we all did with trivia.
Well, I hope it was a great conversation, guys. So let's go over the answers of the trivia. So the first question was, what was the name in life of the very first spirit the Ghostbusters encounter while investigating the mansion from the opening of the film? Go ahead and try to show your answers to the camera.
I went totally blank.
Something else. Okay. All right, looks like we got some partial answers.
Well, Matt and I got it right.
Mm-hmm. I knew the last name. I finally, the first one hit me.
I drew a complete blank at first, and then I'm like, oh my god, they were at the something mansion. What was it? What was it?
All right, and the answer was Gertrude Aldridge for that first question. Next one. What is the very long title of Aaron and Abby's book they wrote together before becoming Ghostbusters?
Something or other.
Wow. Okay. So the answer is Ghosts from Our Past, both literally and figuratively, the study of the paranormal.
Oh, okay.
I'll take partial credit. I had that not correct.
Okay.
I did say literally and metaphysically a study of spirits.
That was a tough one. That was a really long title.
I
Yeah,
had
it was.
Ghosts and Past.
I have that book, actually.
It's an actual book.
Yeah.
Yeah, they released it as a tie-in for the movie.
Oh.
Okay, the next question. What was the title of the business before they officially adopt the name Ghostbusters? And the answer is Conductors of the Metaphysical Examination.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got investigators of the metaphysical.
I kept saying I kept thinking like what
So is
Kevin
that a
kept saying
partial?
on the phone. He's like, "This I'm just blurring it all together." Like,
Watch the movie.
They're tricky questions. I was
Tara,
told
I don't
want to
tell you that in the
design.
past week I've probably watched the movie 4 or 5 times just to try to
Poor man.
refresh my memory.
Oh, I didn't watch the movie actually recently.
Again though, it was in the background while I was doing other things, so I wasn't like I wasn't 100% concentrating on it. So
How does Aaron Gilbert defeat the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man while it was crushing the other 3 Ghostbusters under its belly?
This
And
one I
answer-
do.
Yes, by popping it with a Swiss Army knife. All right, everybody got full credit on that one. And the final question. What is the final form Rowan takes after he releases his possession of Kevin in the movie's finale?
I just want to say I should get extra credit for this because
The answer
I
is...
say monster size Moogly,
Oh,
not
okay.
cute.
Not cute. I'll give you
Not
that.
cute.
Well, I mean, it was cute for a second, and then it turned monstrous and big. So
Right, but then Patty's like, "It's not cute. I said cute." That's
all right.
It's a giant form of Mowgli with bow tie.
All right, so if I did this right, our scores are: the winner is Pete. with,
We knew.
with 60
No surprise.
points. Second place is Matt with 50 points. Third place, Jason with 40, and Tara with 40 as well. So that's a tie on those two.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, another time, Tara, we'll have to have a tiebreaker.
Have to duel it out. All right, guys. Well, this was fun.
All right.
And
Thanks, Corey.
All right.
thanks for
Thank you,
having
Corey.
me for the
Thank you,
trivia. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys later.
All right. well,
Woo! I won.
All right.
Good job, Pete.
Congratulations, Pete.
we kind of saw that
Congrats.
coming a mile away,
We
but
sure
you know.
did.
Yep.
There's a reason you all elected me to be the representative when Windy City hosted those times,
Yep.
hosted those events.
Tara and I will have to have a tiebreaker at some point.
Yeah, but not on this movie. Don't make me spend any more time thinking about it. My brain space is limited. That one's gonna, go in the recycling bin.
Actually, when Windy City hosted the charity trivia contests back in 2020 and 2021, they had one that stuck with me to this day about Answer the Call because I absolutely botched it, and it was what was the name of the Chinese food restaurant?
Oh, it was.
What was it?
Wasn't it like Zoos, like ZHU or something like that?
Yes,
Or-
Zhu's authentic Hong Kong food.
Yes. See, that was something I paid attention to, and I was like, "That's going to be one of the questions," and I remembered it. And then the other question I was like, "Oh, what does Holtzman set on fire in the beginning of the movie when she's doing her little dance routine?"
Oh, roll of
What
paper
did she
towels.
set on fire?
Yeah,
Roll of paper towels.
yeah, it was a roll of paper towels.
Okay.
I thought it was gonna be.
I thought it was the script.
I wish it was the script.
Maybe it was a script rolled up.
There's a good little gag because Holtzman stated to have several degrees, but they never actually say what degrees she has. And then if you go and check out the comics, and then for the Ghostbusters crossing over thing, Eric Burnham had put out cards on Twitter for everyone. Yes, I still called it Twitter. Sorry. And one of them was for Holtzman and specified that one of her degrees was a DDS.
She's a dentist?
Yes.
I'm not going to her. I'll pull
reminds
my
me of,
own
like,
out.
It's like Steve Martin from Little Shop of Horrors.
Wait, was he the dentist?
Yes, he was.
Okay. I don't remember him being the dentist, but that's because I was probably
He's one of the
focused
best
on
villains in the
being
movie.
a patient.
And Bill Murray was yeah.
Great
was-
film. It did have some off-color humor and stuff, but that one, that survived the test of time.
Yeah, let's
Still
talk
a
about
funny
that movie.
I'd rather talk about that
We'll
movie.
talk.
Can we
All right,
change topics? Is it too late to start over, Jason?
I've got a
you know
DVD
what,
set.
Tara? That's totally up to you because I know you're the one that wants to go to bed soon.
Yes, I do turn into a pumpkin very soon.
So maybe we can address this or visit it another time. I'm kind of.
Oh, so speaking of, we're recording this podcast when Beetlejuice 2 is out. And when Matthew was talking a little bit earlier, good luck cutting this in, Corey. When Matthew was talking about the mirror scene with all of the ghosts, I was thinking that Beetlejuice actually did cooler and creepier ghosts behind the little pull-down shade 30 years ago than what they did in this movie.
She had to get one.
So they
last
should have went
singer
the
in.
claymation stop motion effect there.
Yeah, I just thought they were, cooler
There's something
and
to be said for
creepier. And maybe
practical
it's because
effects.
I was a kid
I
when I
love
watched it.
practical.
I felt it a little differently, but
All right, that is going to wrap up episode 8 of Hudson Valley Slime Time. If you've enjoyed listening to us and the things we've yelled about in this episode, please do like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach out to us by email, podcast@hvgb.org. For more information about booking Hudson Valley Ghostbusters for one of your events in the future, you can contact us through the same website, hvgb.org, Plus, you can follow, like, and message us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and the platform formerly known as Twitter. If you're listening to this podcast and are interested in having Ghostbusters at your next event, but you're not in the Hudson Valley area, you can go to the Ghostbusters directory, whoyougonnacall.org, and on there you'll find a nicely organized directory by state to find your local Ghostbusters group.
That's right. And whether you liked or disliked Answer the Call, tell us what you thought and why in the comment section of this video. And just remember, everything we do here is to help raise money for local charities throughout the Hudson Valley. And you can help out by visiting our website and clicking the donate link. You can also help by visiting our online store at redbubble.com and type in HVGB in the search bar. We have all kinds of great merchandise. You know, we have backpacks and duffel bags, cool hats, mugs, a whole line of Corey gear. You know, Corey, I want to see a bunch of the examples. And just remember, portion of that purchases all go to charity, and like Matt said earlier, the easiest way you can help us out is by clicking the subscribe button and liking and sharing our podcast and our YouTube channel. So thanks for joining us tonight, and a special thank you to Pete and Tara for joining in on these shenanigans.
Yep, thank you guys.
You know,
Glad to be back. Don't worry.
really did appreciate having you guys on and hearing your opinions, whether we agree or disagree.
We can agree to disagree.
But yeah, so until next time, just always remember, have fun and play with slime.
Okay, so I'll see you later, huh? I'll give you a call.